Hey, it's Mazzy here. This is Whack-A-Mole number 166. If you have not seen the other 165 of these, and if you're new to the channel here, it's when I randomly pull 5 records from my record collection, just share them with you. And it's a little bit of an exercise in mental awareness and recollection and personal my taste and my knowledge of the music of my record collection and these records. And so it's totally random. I did not invent the concept of random pulls, but I took the Whack-A-Mole brand, Whack-A-Mole carnival show, carnival game, I should say, and I applied it to this. It just seems like a random thing, whacking a mole. No animals are ever hurt on this channel. And I appreciate, there's been a lot of new subscribers lately and a lot of new visitors. So please subscribe because I think 60% of you are not subscribing. It didn't cost you anything. This is free. I don't even have commercials in the middle of my videos. I push that button to save you from sitting through those goddamn commercials throughout it. There's some at the beginning, some at the end, but never, unless I change my mind down the line, in the middle of the content of this wonderful content that you're seeing right now. Thanks for watching again, and I'll say that ahead of time. But let's have at it. 5 random picks. Now, I might look down a little bit because I have records kind of on the edges, so I don't want to trip, fall down, and have to call the paramedics or anything. So let's have at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Number 1. Rare Soul. This is an album. I'm not sure if it's the only album he did. This is Melvin Van Peebles. Music, jazz. It's a little bit of it's basically very much influential in the rap and hip hop world. Beat poetry, very much like. Well, also he's a filmmaker. Melvin Van Peebles. This is called Rare Soul. I believe this is 1968, I'm thinking. And I got this when it came out. My buddy Larry and I were so into this record. It's a funky record. There's some jazz, almost a little bit of an avant-garde jazz thing. I want to compare it a little bit to Ken Nordean's Word Jazz. It's nothing like that. Obviously, there's this song on here that got me into this record. The FM station in San Francisco, KMPX, and then KSAN, I think I used to play. There's one DJ there. And it's Lily Dunn, the Zampauji, every time I pull on her coattails. Do it, Lily. Boom, whack, boom, boom, whack, whack. Anyway, this is a cool-ass record. This is really a great record. God, I forgot about that. I didn't forget about that. I haven't thought about it lately. Free Huey, obviously a reference to Huey, I was going to say Huey Lewis, Huey Newton. It's not a reference to Huey Lewis, that's for sure. His son, Mario Van Peebles, an actor and director in his own right, but he did Watermelon Man, the film Watermelon Man, I believe. But this is a cool record. It's like beat poetry, a little like, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. In it's as influential as that album. And there you go. Rare Soul, A&M Records. I do have got a little water damage, but this is my 1968 copy. On A&M Records? Yeah, on A&M Records. There you go. Oh, I thought I felt this because this is a record you feel, even if you're not looking. You know what this record is. And this is Speaking in Tongues. This was the limited edition of the Talking Heads' great album. And all of these versions have faded into this yellow over the years. And this is the limited edition design. I think it's still available. I mean, I think you can get it on the resale market, not for a ton of money. I thought it'd be worth more, but designed by the great American artist, Robert Rauschenberg, conceptual assemblage artist. It's got the spin wheel, very much like old color separations, the various layers. And I don't play this copy. I have a regular copy of the regular album, but this was the limited edition. Of course, over the years, sometimes you get a bit of the plastic cracking. You can see a little aberration there. But Burning Down the House is on this record. Of course, it's a great album. I could talk musically about it, and I would more, but having pulled, I felt it, the Robin Rauschenberg art cover. I like the tactile effect of this record. What else is on here? A Slippery People. I mean, this is a great record. Either way, again, opening and closing this over the years would not be a good thing as far as I'm concerned. So of course I bought a copy of it. Or was this 84, 5? Can't remember what year it was, but it was in that period, I think. There you go. But Robert Rauschenberg, great artist. So seek him out. I've seen several shows, of course, at the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco and in New York. Robert Rauschenberg. Oh, here's now Sire Records. This is Duane Eddy, great rock and roller. These are from the 50s. Sire Records originally, when it, Seymour Stein's label, was really originally doing a lot of imported things in America and American versions like early Fleetwood Mac in Chicago, those type of things. But did the British history of British rock comps, and a lot of these sort of 50s comps of artists like the great Duane Eddy. I mean, what a great kind of like in rockabilly rock and roll guitar player, essential on any collection of any rock and roll fans collection. This is an integral band that led to all these great British and American groups, and of course Duane Eddy, like all these toured England, I'm sure influential to the Beatles and the Stones in that level. Moving and Grooving, 40 Miles of Bad Road, Rebel Walk, of course Peter Gunn. I mean, great twangy style guitar. But what's great about these Sire collections or double albums, and they curate the music of these artists really well with essays. Who wrote the essay? It's kind of like, Greg Shaw. Greg Shaw was the editor of Who Put the Bomb, which did a lot of like the British invasion, articles on the British invasion, Mercy Beat, rockabilly stuff, early 60s. This might actually be like 62-ish, from 60 to 63 or something. But Duane Eddy says, era that rock that lasted from 1958 to 1963. The great, important artist in rock and roll history, Duane Eddy. Oh, okay. There's a rule in my house, apparently. I've been called out that every time someone comes here, somebody always pulls a Nick Cave record. And this is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Skeleton Tree. This is that period. He's still doing it. Led to several albums, like up to Ghost Teen, has some really minimal music and really kind of ethereal type of thing. I like that. Some people got turned off when Nick Cave sort of went in this direction, wanted the more, raucous rock and roll. Of course, I mean, with the Bad Seeds, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And of course, my favorite, Boatman's Call, which is more this beautiful piano-based album. But Skeleton Tree, I think, is one of his more beautiful records. I still think Ghost Teen is the one that I gravitate to. But I know people that just haven't, don't get into Ghost Teen because it's maybe a little too ambient for them. But I love this. This is from 2016, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Skeleton Tree. And lastly, now this is a personal favorite. I could have pulled this in an album, but I don't know what to play because this is an unusual album for some people. This is Journey by John Simon. He did 2 records for Warner Brothers. Now, if that name sounds familiar, most people know him as a producer rather than a recording artist. He's got this really thin, interesting voice. Some people might not like it. Fantastic arranger, fantastic piano player. He produced the music from Big Pink, the first few albums by the band. He produced Cheap Thrills with, I think, engineering with Elliot Mazer, Cheap Thrills' big brother in the holding company. He was a staff producer, an A&R guy at Columbia Records for a number of years. But he did 2 albums on Warner Brothers. This one is the second Journey. The first one I remember I bought the first one because of those Warner Brothers Lost Leader records, where for $2 you get 2 records and a sampling. And there was a song called the Elf Song on the first one, just a jaunty thing. This is very jazzy, but in a really, I want to kind of compare him to Randy Newman, but he's not biting politically, socially like the humor Randy Newman has. But his piano playing is so good. He also has these great horn arrangements like he did with the band later on, with almost like a New Orleans style. But on here, there's several really long songs, and his thin voice is not for everyone, but it's really, really interesting. And he composes and arranges this. This is from 1972, this album. Opens up with Living in the Land of Sunshine with these great, like, jazzy piano solos. And college radio, when I was at San Francisco State, I would play this album. I'd play that song. I'd play Slim Pickens in the Kitchen, Don't Make It at All. Great, great song. And Vagabond, and that goes on for a long ways. And that he's up from he lived and produced up in Woodstock, New York, so upstate New York. But this album, as I recall, also, it has Warner Brothers for a while in the early 70s, when a lot of artists like Randy Newman and Bonnie Raitt and Ry Cooder would have these outer inserts that would be, in shrink wrap here, telling about the album, really cleverly written, and would talk about the artist. He produced the Circles hit, Red Rubber Ball. So it talks about the artist. Now, is this cheating because I'm reading off this, but I'm trying to give you a continued education. He worked on the soundtrack, You Are What You Eat. He wrote My Name is Jack, Manfred Mann. My name is Jack, and I live in the back of the something Wayward House, so on. He produced Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Gordon Lightfoot. Worked with Marshall McLuhan, yes, and Frankie Yankovic. There you go. Bobby Charles as well, Seals and Croft, and the Electric Flag, and Simon & Garfunkel. I forgot about that. But these albums you don't see a lot. It has a poster inside, interesting poster. Days when you had interesting ephemera in records. But John Simon's one of those cool-ass records for a certain audience. If you see this in the bins, pick it up. I think it's really interesting, and it's among a favorite record of mine. And it's a record that actually gets played a lot here. It's been maybe a couple years since I played it. But this is like a go-to album that I pull out every once in a while. So Whack-A-Mole, whatever the number is, last time was in a record store in Easy Street. Thank you for watching again. Subscribe and come back. Stay around. Mazzy loves you. Take care.